Greg's family is one of the more interesting aspects of the show for me, just because of the simplicity of who they are as a whole, a black suburban family that is just trying to do the best they can to fit into this new town they're in, without sacrificing who they are, of course. His overall family are very tight knit, including his extended relatives like his aunts, uncles, and even grandparents. They are super close with each other, with even his dad and uncle being almost like rivals, trying to one up each other every chance they get. Craig has two cousins, one of them being Bryson, who used to be very close with Craig when they were younger, but of course, as they got older, Bryson especially drifted apart from Craig as he no longer had interest for the things Craig liked because as he moved to a big city, his hobbies and interests changed, where he was now caught up on the latest trends of fashion and music, where he left the imagination world that him and Craig would be in. But of course, throughout the series, Bryson slowly returns to the kid he used to be through Craig reaching out to him, which is pretty cool in many ways. Bryson has always been a character that piqued my interest just because of the narrative that surrounded him and how I almost found it relatable to the real world and what's going on today in our culture in a lot of ways. That just gets me thinking. In a kid growing up in a big city, a lot of things change for Bryson, where he doesn't have the luxury of going to a place that is like a sanctuary for kids to interact and play, like the creek. So the only way for Bryson to fit in and blend well with other kids in the city is just to, pick up on new trends that may be hot and popping right now to remain relevant in the friend group. This may be a headcanon of mine, but I'm just going off of what it would be like for an 11-year-old kid in a city and how they would go about interacting and making friends. Just from personal experience. So I figured it may not be too far off, but again, I could be wrong about this whole thing, but it's just for fun to imagine, right? So imagine how hard hitting or at least unfamiliar it would be returning to a lifestyle you left behind years ago, where you feel almost uncomfortable around your own cousin that you previously shared an interest with. And yeah, you would be nervous and closed off. This is exactly how Bryson felt. But the more Craig reached out, the closer he got to restoring his relationship with Bryson, that by extension bringing him back to his childlike wonder and imagination. It is true that people just grow out of things because it's no longer their thing, and people can change based on environment, but that doesn't mean the person can erase the past that they once had just because they're no longer that person. Bryson still does what kids his age still do in the city, like staying up to date with trends and being more inclined to doom scrolling on the phone. But every once in a while, when he comes out over to spend time with his cousin, he is reminded of what it truly means to be a kid, where his imaginative side is expressed. In the episode Cousin of the Creek, we see that Dwayne's brother Darnell is coming over as Dwayne is looking back on family photos. And of course, Craig is the first one to hear the news, and bro can't contain his excitement as he is excited to see his cousin Bryson that he hasn't seen in a while. And so they arrive, and we get to see just how their relationship is with each other, as Dwayne and his brother Darnell are relatively close but tend to compete with one another in a friendly sort of way. And we see the moms are catching up on the latest tea, as ladies call it, as they like to say it. Then we were introduced to Jasmine and Bernard's relationship, where they are also pretty close, but Jasmine always seems to remind Bernard of her seniority over him, which Bernard is self-conscious about. Then the boy Bryson is finally introduced, and he just looks different from his old look, as he now has a fresh fade and new threads. So obviously Craig is a little intimidated to conversate and catch up with Bryson, as things have clearly changed between the both of them, and that leaves Jessica, as she was too young to remember them. So she's the only one without memories, but of course she is here to make new ones. And so the family decides to have a barbecue outside, which just reminds me of summer in a black household, which is very cool to me. And we continue to see just how competitive both Dwayne and Darnell are, even stringing Jessica into this, as they are competing to see who can, crack lobster better. And Dwayne does his thing, but Darnell instantly wins Jessica over, resulting in Dwayne hilariously dying of sorrow at the thought of losing his daughter. And then we cut to Bryson and Craig as they are getting to know one another again, as Craig compliments Bryson's new look, even calling him cool, as he learns of Bryson riding the subway, which is like an unheard of thing to him, being that he's a kid, to where doing stuff like that would need parental supervision, of course. Then we get some exposition from the moms, as Bryson's mom talks about how Bryson has, been put in after school programs in order for him to come out of his shell. As we learn that he's pretty reserved and always to himself all the time. And then we cut back to Craig as he decides to take Bryson to the creek in order for him to truly experience childlike adventure and freedom that he can't, do in the big city, being restrained by buildings and infrastructure. So Craig introduced Bryson to his friends, and Bryson begins to slowly unwind and have fun as they participate in this water balloon battle. And of course, the battle is exaggerated in every way a kid's balloon battle would, with carnage and undigestible defeat. But there is one important scene where Bryson is hit by a balloon and is caught by, Craig, as this man is bleeding out, where he doesn't have much time left. And it is here where Bryson and Craig rekindle their relationship, as Bryson says that he always thought Craig was cool, but was worried about Craig not thinking he was cool anymore. So he was nervous, but of course Craig doesn't accept this, and they realize that their bond can never be broken. And so they come up with a plan to defeat Paintball Mike as his balloon compartment is exposed. So through teamwork, Craig and Bryson are able to take Paintball Mike down. And of course, back to Dwayne, as he is able to win Jessica back as he saves her from water balloons. And that is how the episode ends, folks. This episode was just a feel-good, chill episode that I could just appreciate because of the warm atmosphere that is apparent throughout the episode, as Craig and his family are just having a good time, catching up and looking back on past memories. What's not to like about it? And regarding Bryson, I like how the writers expand on his character and how environment and setting can really change someone, where growing up in the big city changed Bryson. And Craig had to, come to terms with that and realize that people can change, and that's how life is. And he acknowledges that and tries to not change Bryson back, but remind him of his roots if he ever feels alone or foreign towards his perception of what his childhood should be like. I enjoyed a lot of the dynamics in this episode, to where members of the family were already familiar with one another, even being, close with each other, which speaks to the overall warm-hearted aspect of the show for me, especially. The next episode I'll be discussing centers in on Bryson's background and how his overall environment, shapes him as a character, being from a big city. In the episode, Craig of the Street, Craig and Jessica are going to New Jersey to meet and hang with their cousin Bryson, as he is as excited to see them as they are. I just really appreciate the attention to detail that was implemented in the background, with how it genuinely resembles New Jersey from the houses and overall neighborhood, which gives it this natural touch. And we see both Bryson's parents, as they are pretty chill, but obviously they have a lot of attitude and jokes that really remind you of a black household, as they continue to diss my boy Dwayne, which is wild, especially in front of the kids. Then we cut to both Craig and Bryson as they are planning what they should do for the day, as Craig is just excited to be in a big city and he's curious of what it can offer, but Bryson doesn't share in his enthusiasm, which already implies just how Bryson feels residing there. But then Bryson comes up with an idea of them playing this new arcade game that is exclusively special, as Craig says.
More Sly the Fairy characters fight Power Punchers characters in Mortal Kombat?
But it is at the laundromat and they don't have money to play. So Bryson decides to ask his dad for money for their city's delicacy that is the equivalent of chocolate rolls, which are butter rolls, as even the dad isn't able to contain his savor for it. So their plan works, as Bryson's dad gives them money in order for Craig to try it, as Craig is new to the city. So the boys venture through the streets of New Jersey as they are on the way to the corner store where the butter rolls are sold. They are able to secure the gold, and now they have enough for that arcade game. So as they're on their way to the laundromat, Bryson just shows Craig around the neighborhood, from little pop-up restaurants to apartment murals and neighbors, and it's just an overall wholesome experience, as Craig marks down each main attraction on his map. And so they are able to arrive at the laundromat ready to indulge, but are met with teenagers who are already on the game. And the next thing that happens next is tragic, and yeah, bless this man Craig's heart. So he decides to talk it out with them, but they introduce him to an act so heinous it can make a grown man cry.
Hiya, fellas. What happened?
They roasted me.
And yeah, Craig is able to propose a trade with them as he promises them the butter roll for the game, and the teams concede and the boys are able to play, but they only have enough for one game, and so they decide to co-op and share the controls. And so the boys play the game, but if you're an experienced gamer, you know that it is almost impossible to win with that type of play. And so they lose, but are able to appreciate the little things they did throughout the day that really made it memorable. This episode was wholesome, just seeing both Craig and Bryson continuing to strengthen their bond, and it doesn't hurt for Craig to explore a new environment he's never really experienced before, which just made the episode much more entertaining. The parents were also really hilarious with their one-liners and overall interaction with the boys. Bryson in this episode was a lot more assertive when it came to his relationship with Craig, as he took initiative as the cousin to, show Craig around the neighborhood, and it seems that the boy has finally, come out of his shell and is able to express himself in his own domain and territory. Bryson is a really interesting character in my eyes, and even though the show is over, I just wish that we could have gotten more, screen time with him, and just to see how his relationship with, Craig changes and how it, develops throughout the series. But yeah, man, Bryson is a really cool guy. He's like one of my favorite characters just because of his character design and just personality. He's just a chill guy. And yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I do apologize for the long hiatus once again. I've just been working on a lot of new stuff, and I have a lot of new stuff coming out this year, so stay tuned, man. And if you guys have any other Craig the Creek character that you want me to do a deep dive on, please comment your suggestion down in the comment section down below, and I'll do it right away. And once again, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys liked the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.